Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all fantastic today. My name is Justin Phillips, and it is with my great pleasure that we are back here doing a weekly interview with the amazing Jost Sauer. And today we are doing a different subject than we did last week. But for those of you that perhaps didn't join us last week, or you're listening to this for the first time, I'll just give you some context for what this interview is about. So my background is I'm 25 years in health and well-being. I've done a bunch of things from nutrition to the basics. I was studying acupuncture where I met Jost in clinic many years ago. I was studying the basics for naturopathy and kinesiology. I've done personal training, paramedics. I've owned and operated health food shops, natural therapies clinics, and worked in integrated medical clinics. Taught Qigong and Tai Chi for 8 years in different gyms, and done a lot of different things in my life. So I've been a bit of a health and wellness advocate for a long time now. Particularly from the perspective of a patient. I had 20 years of a health challenge that I was learning to overcome, and thankfully, eventually, when I was introduced to the amazing Redox technology, I was able to overcome that. But Jost's teachings along the way have certainly helped me, and Jost has an extraordinary background himself. He's seen over 55,000 patients. He was actually the supervisor of a clinic at the Australian College of Natural Medicine that then became Endeavour College. And that's the main acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine college in Brisbane, Australia. But Jost was born in 1958 in Germany. He's got a bachelor in health science, acupuncture, diplomas in oriental massage, certificates in structural balancing and sports injuries and so forth. He began working as a therapist in 1991 and qualified as a doctor of Chinese medicine. He's lectured in traditional Chinese medicine for many years. He's founded and operated health centers and has worked internationally with celebrity clients in the US and all over the world. Obviously, Jost has a major passion for fitness and well-being. You can see he's a picture of health. And his background includes competitive skiing, snow skiing at a national level, bodybuilding, triathlons, Ironman training. And when he discovered Kung Fu and Tai Chi, he realized that fitness is only a part of the equation, that vitality is the other part of the equation. And this led to decades of research into how to live, how to use nutritional supplements and herbs and optimal diet and exercise therapies, weightlifting, martial arts, meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, how to make you feel good. And Jost became known as the lifestyle medicine man. And so he's actually published many books now. And we're going to talk a little bit and go into depth about the Clock on the Health book and the different icons that Jost has got in that. And today's particular talk really is about the energetics of the organs and the cleaner and these different concepts of perhaps for the first time you'll learn about different definitions of qi and traditional Chinese medicine. So thank you so much for joining us on the call again, Jost. It's a pleasure to have you and to garner your amazing wisdom. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
So yeah, always love our chats with you, and always get more information and learn more. And one of the incredible things that we covered last week's interview, you went into depth into the definition of qi. So perhaps for our listeners that are tuning in for the first time, could we just do a little recap on the definition of qi, because that was really quite enlightening. We had amazing feedback from that.
Yes. Okay, the word qi can't be translated from a Western science perspective. Western science got its position in acknowledging the reality and analyzing reality and providing recommendations, but it's on the other end of the scale. And on the other end is qi, Chinese medicine. So Chinese medicine and Western sciences may be of the same coin, but they're on the opposite side. So the Chinese were always interested in unifying with the whole phenomenon of life. They always were interested in integrating themselves with with that which holds everything together. Whereas in the Western sciences, it was all about analyzing us, isolating to the smallest particle to find the building block. And they've got particles, which they call the smallest particle, but once they start dissecting that particle, it goes into a quantum space. So in Chinese medicine, they, from the start, never were interested in trying to identify the smallest particle. Instead, how to integrate with the bigger and become one with all there is. So the interest in Chinese medicine always has been unification rather than isolation. So instead of reducing everything to the smallest particle, in Chinese medicine we unify with all there is. That allowed for them to observe what holds it all together. So they then realized that there are massive forces in place that put everything in its position, which we in Western science would call gravity. In Chinese medicine, we call qi, which in Western science they would call horizontal and vertical. In Chinese medicine, we call it qi. So what they understood is that everything that we experience, everything that exists in this physical reality interacts on each other. And as it interacts on each other, it becomes part of the force field. And this interaction and the force field that evolves around this interaction, that is what we call qi. And qi is a fundamental principle of Chinese medicine, which can be translated as energy, but energy is only one compartment of qi. The other compartment is information and consciousness. So in the word qi is energy, information, and consciousness. So this is where Western science differs once again, because Western science can identify and can measure the impact of consciousness on matter, but it can't measure consciousness. In Chinese medicine, consciousness is measured within the word qi. So in Chinese medicine, we incorporate consciousness, we incorporate information exchange, we incorporate energy. All that comes together as one word, and they call it qi. So when someone says, my qi is very high, it has got a lot of implications of what that means. In the same sense, my qi is low. Once again, where's the information? Where's the energy? Where's the consciousness? So when we start treating people on the basis of working with qi, we're going to not only look at the energy compartment, which could be measured by particles, which could be measured by supplements and by nutrients and by diet, but it also incorporates the information. That means, how are these particles, these nutrients, this diet, how are they distributed? And then we also look at consciousness. How do we actually relate to all that? And how we feel about this? Because in Chinese medicine, consciousness is a fundamental principle of how we create, meaning how we feel is essential for what we do with our body. So in Chinese medicine, we always have put personal well-being, how we feel, in the primary position, because when we feel good, we automatically heal our body. When we feel bad, we automatically reduce the capacity of the body to heal itself. So therefore, in Chinese medicine, we don't just focus on diet, we don't just focus on nutrients, we focus in particular, most important, how to feel good. And that is qi.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for recapping on that, particularly like the conscious part of the definition of qi. I think that was really quite enlightening for a lot of people, and particularly is so relevant in an age where many people, many thought leaders, entrepreneurs, many wellness advocates are really starting to incorporate the consciousness as a part of the healing modality that they're involved in. Everyone, we more and more people are realizing thoughts are things and they have such a big impact on our life. So yeah, the Chinese model really helps integrate that and direct that. And I wanted to also let everyone know it was when you really got involved with the 24-hour movement of qi, when you really studied the Chinese body clock, and then how that connected to day-to-day activities, to our natural cycles. You developed the qi cycle lifestyle, and you've got the book, The Perfect Day Plan, which to me was just mind-blowing. And that's the ultimate in lifestyle medicine. So it's founded on years and years of traditional Chinese medicine, and over 30 of your years of academic research and practical observations with living with it. And so with that, you've really been able to educate people and repower people from, from burnout or where they've been really stuck in life, and get that chi flowing again. And you really do cover a lot about that in the books that you have as well, The Perfect Day Plan, and then the Clock On to Life. So today, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and would you want to share a little bit about how that living the chi lifestyle can support people to be healthy and vital?
Because what happens is that once we start following the chi cycle, we actually start feeling good. Okay, so what does it mean to feel good? Like if we experience movement, if we experience flow, like like a child, we're going to a Luna Park and we're going play on the playground, we're experiencing movement, we're experiencing flow, and that makes us feel good. Mm. When we feel stagnant, we feel bad. So when we feel bad, we automatically analyze the situation as in accord with how we feel. That means we make it worse than it is. And what may be a little thing can become very big if we concentrate on it by feeling bad and then make it back. Mm. So chi cycle allows us to get into the flow of life, like a Luna Park, like movement. Because once we're experiencing movement, the symptoms we then discover throughout the day, whatever we experience, it has got a minor impact on us because we are already in a state of feel good. If we are in a state of feel good, then it really doesn't matter what the itches are that we're experiencing. Like if you on the Luna Park and have good fun, and because you experience the movement and the flow, you're not concerned about if there's an itch in your ankle or if there's some kind of a nagging pain somewhere. You're just fully engaged in the experience of the flow. So establishing flow is the key element of the chi cycle. And so how this actually comes into place is that because when we flow, what happens is we are not only the consciousness feels good, but we actually make chi also move. And if chi starts moving, and chi is information and energy, but also consciousness, it now takes nutrients and energy and information to all parts of the body. And as it takes it to every part of the body, it will start healing the body. When we feel stagnant, the chi is not moving. That means it can't go to the tissue to create movement. So the chi cycle is about, okay, how can I establish flow into my life? How can I get into the day and start moving? And this has been tapped into thousands of years ago by the ancient Taoists. And they understood that this chi moves through the whole entire body within 24 hours and has got several actions and functions to do while it moves throughout the body. And they realized that there's a system to it that has got 12 parts where it's interacting and engaging with. And then throughout the whole day, it became the 24-hour chi cycle. So without them having a reference to a clock or to a watch, they're tapped into what in fact is 5 a.m., what is 7 a.m., what is 9 a.m. And they realized for them to have maximum experience of life, that means I not only feel good, but I'm also have high health and I am able to evolve myself to the highest potential. Therefore, I need to align with this movement. And that's why they always got up at a time when the energy starts the movement, which is in lung and large intestine. So it starts at 3, then it got its first point at 5 a.m. So if we get up at 5 a.m., we're entering the Luna Park, basically. We have entrance to the movement. It's like you're hopping on a surfboard and the wave has just risen. And now you're going with the momentum of the wave and it moves you to the stomach point at 7 a.m., then to the spleen point, and then it moves you to the heart point, and then it goes to the small intestine point, then it goes to the bladder channel and the kidney channel and then the pericardium channel and then Sanjiao, and then it goes into gallbladder and liver, and then it starts again at lung. So there's a massive momentum behind. The aim is to get onto this wave. So what they discovered is if you sleep in and get up late, that means the wave starts around 5 in this morning time. The wave is here, it's moving. So when you get up here, you're behind the wave. So anyone who has surfing experience knows it's very frustrating to get up behind the wave rather in front of the wave.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get up in front of the wave, you will have a buzz that takes you all the way to the beach, and you have captured the power of the ocean. Because what makes you high from surfing? It's this massive power that the ocean has generated. Because it's not just 2-meter water that's in front of you when you surf. It's a force that has been generated, a power that is available. And then when you hop onto this wave, through the entrainment process, the power that has been generated through several thousand kilometers now enters the body of the surfer. And then it takes the person to the beach, but the wave stops, but the power remains in the person. So then obviously the surfer said, oh, this is awesome, I want to go back again, next wave. So that would be the stomach point. Once again, you get the momentum, and then you surf all the way to the beach. Wow. So you're capturing the power. And as you capture the power, what happens is this power, that's what we call chi, is now stored in the body. And this is the power that is the basis for well-being. The more power we collect, the better we feel, the higher we feel, the healthier we are, because that power immediately will move to the organs and give the organs the nutrients it really requires. And then it will heal the body. And then the power is available for other parts of the body. And then we can actually start implementing ideas and dreams and desires about life that suddenly we have the ability to do because we have the power in our body to do so. So what it basically means is with the chi cycle, you're powerful of life. You become powerful. And because that chi that you collect is the result, is the sum of all the forces, interaction of all the planets. And just like in surfing, where this wave that you capture is the result of 5,000 kilometers before. Yeah. So you're not getting just this moment right now. It's a result of 5,000 kilometers and lots of wind and a lot of other terrestrial influences. So it's a lot going on in this universe to hold it all together. It is an incredible ability for us to unite with this power. And that all along has been the aim of the chi cycle. And that always has been the aim of the Taoist masters. And that's how they developed Tai Chi, that's how they developed martial art. And that's the power we use when we punch in Kung Fu, bang. So we allow that power to express itself. Like we surf first, we get the momentum of the wave, now the power is stored, and suddenly we let it out. So in Kung Fu, we don't generate the power, we express power. So we just said last week, this is just like sex. So it's the same thing. So when you get sexually aroused, it's like you're getting in front of the wave. And now there's a power going into you. Because regardless of how you feel before you have sex, you might be tired, you might be exhausted, you might be not interested. But the moment you do get sexually aroused, what happens? Yeah. You're not tired, you're not exhausted, you don't care about work. Everything goes suddenly. What happens is a power is entering your body, and the power is now generating your behavior, and the power is now motivating you to do so. And you feel that power because suddenly you have lots of energy and you have a lot of intent to act upon that power.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love your analogies. I think that really helps people understand that you know, when you're in flow, you're tapping into really the energies of the cosmos, you know, that the universal energies are just giving you so much more power and the ability to do things. I used to be a surfer, and I know exactly what you mean. I'd get off the surf, you know, finish the wave, and you'd be like hell for leather getting back out through the waves, you know, like you'd be so fired up to get back out there, you know, and
Yes.
yeah, but just because the rush of the wave was just so good, you were just super motivated to get back out there. You know?
It's because once you're on it, this is very important. We need to understand, once you're on the wave and surf, you don't think about any problems you have in your life.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say, oh, my ankle hurts, oh, my headache, oh, my whatever. We know that. Just go for surf and symptoms will disappear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I you know, when I deal with people that surf a lot, I find they're generally they've got a really good mindset. They're really fairly healthy and happy, and
positive,
you know, they love their surfing, you know. It's you can totally understand that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And again, like there's more and more consciousness and more effort for people to want to be in flow. And so you know, following the cycle, the chi cycle, and following your recommendations in your books, that leads right into helping people get into that rhythm. We've had a question from Jane, which I think it might be appropriate now to ask before we start to go into the nutritional stuff. And it's and Jane's saying, so how prevalent is has China adopted the philosophies of traditional Chinese medicine? You did talk about it was thousands of years ago that the Taoists actually connected with this and realized the forces of the cosmos. But in a more contemporary Chinese, you know, how is it fundamental how the Chinese incorporate Mother Earth into this philosophy, you know, the pollution, all that sort of stuff. And it appears there's a massive disconnect now, even though these great philosophies came from China.
Yeah, this is the great question. And I always like that question because this actually has been answered by several Taoist masters already in the 70s. Okay, so what I need to quote them because it's better if I say that because these Taoist masters are actually Chinese.
Yeah.
And so what they say is that the whole process of the Tai Chi, which is the supreme ultimate, which is the Chi cycle, the momentum, what it basically means to capture the power and then store the power in your body, and then you let the power generate your life, which is the art of non-doing. So once the power comes in, you automatically do without doing. It's like when you're sexually aroused, you do without doing. You don't have to use effort. You know, it just moves you. So that's like a classic example of what Wu Wei, the art of non-doing, means. So the Chinese understood if you capture power, your life becomes automatically generated from within. So they're tapped into it. They called it the Tai Chi, the supreme ultimate. They built the whole medicine around it. We're talking now 4,000, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Lao Tzu wrote that famous book, the Tao Te Ching. And then in the Tang dynasty at around 600, 800 AD, it reached its peak. It just absolutely, wow, this is awesome. Then right up to the Ming dynasty, it really had its momentum. Then it slightly went into a different branch. So what happened now is, according to the Tai Chi masters, one particular is called Wei Sun Liao, and he stated that it started in China, but the completion of the Tai Chi will occur in the West. So that's exactly what we see. So when you go to China, you don't see much of this lifestyle anymore, but a lot of Westerners opening up to that lifestyle. Yes, whereas a lot of Chinese now move into Western medicine and Western lifestyle, a lot of Western people move into the Chinese lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. Hey, I totally see that.
So suddenly you get lots of acupuncturists talk about Qi and using Chi cycle ideas and using Tai Chi, whereas in China, they rather go for the medications. So where this is going to progress in the future, we don't know yet, but it looks like according to Wei Sun Liao, that the completion of this journey that started, whatever time, 5,000 years ago, now reaches its momentum in the West to reach its clarification process and then completion in itself. So maybe then it starts returning to China and truly, then we all become one united culture as a result of that.
Yeah.
And it has been prophesied by Bruce Lee, who said 21st century man is one culture man. And that's why he was so keen to go to the West, because he knew that already, he understood that the West needs to be introduced to this idea, because he saw that what we developed in the West with democracy, you've got to be aware, it took us 5,000 years to develop democracy.
Yeah.
Not that happened last 40 years. Democracy is in our blood. We have an analytical thinking that is different to the Chinese. We reduce everything. Therefore, we develop cars and computers and technology that is quite profound. But we don't understand the unified principle, and that is Qi, that the Chinese developed.
Yeah.
So now it's moving into the West, and it all coming together. And that's why we see lots of therapists then, like, for example, with ASEA, with people who just work with supplements, they unify Eastern principles with Western lifestyle. And they capture the idea of unification and how to store power in your body by doing yoga, by doing Tai Chi, by meditation, but then also integrate the Western principle of the freedom of the mind and the freedom of speech and democracy. Because we can say what we think here, yes, but we can't do that in China.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't. If you speak up against the president, that is, you never will see the light of the day again.
Yeah.
But I can go all day on about ScoMo on Facebook. So what?
Yeah, totally different like that. Absolutely.
I can say what I think, and so we got an incredible freedom here.
Yeah.
But we don't have the unified principle yet. So that's why Wei Sun Liao and the other Tai Chi masters could see that if you bring in the Western freedom with the unification of the Chinese, then we get some incredible powerful stuff. Yeah. So that's basically what we're seeing now. So it's up to us to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. So thank you for addressing that. So today we wanted to talk a lot more about nutrient assimilation.
Yes.
And in your book, you call the spleen the builder, responsible for transportation and transformation of fluids in the body. Would you like to talk now in a bit of a pivot more about nutrient assimilation and how that works? Okay.
So in Chinese medicine, the organs that we call spleen, liver, kidney differ to the Western organs. So the international agreement when we talk organs in Chinese medicine is to write these organs in upper cases. Spleen with an uppercase S versus spleen with a lowercase s. So what we're having here is a situation that we have two different functions sharing the same name. So when we talk about nutrient assimilation, an energetic process is required, which is why, and I've been experimenting with supplements for over 30 years. It's been basically 35 years now. So I had my clinics and I was a lecturer at the college and student clinic, and I was just putting every patient there, wire the students on all kind of supplements. So I have observed many thousands of trials with supplements. And the situation was always that you have 5 people, all get the same supplement with a regime, exact same, but you get 5 different results. And so this is where it gets very tricky. How come that some have an extraordinary result and others don't get anything? How many people have a mat who say, oh, I take supplements, but they don't do anything? And then other people take a little bit, my God, they get the glowing skin. And so when it comes to nutrient assimilation, the organ most responsible for that regulates it is the spleen, but it's the energy spleen. That means it's, in order to enhance the nutrient assimilation, we need to work with the energetic ability. That means if we start living the Qi cycle, that means we now integrate with the ability to capture the power. That means we now energetically sensitive to the process within, and then doing all kind of other processes in order to recognize the storage of energy. We then allow the spleen to do its work. So when we take supplement and we have stored the power in the body, that the chi, then the supplement will actually do incredible work. So Western medicine calls it factor X. And that means they can't really describe why supplements work and why they don't work, or when they work, why they work, and when they don't work, why they don't work. And so that's why a lot of people stay out of it. Though obviously a base nutrient level will work on everyone. If you take vitamin C, vitamin D3, B6, and so on, you will get results. If you take magnesium, you will get results. But these results differ from person to person. So you get maybe a level of results here, but you can get the same result with the same amounts on this level. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're working with nutrient assimilation. So that means if we understand how to, for example, if we understand what to do when we wake up. Okay, this is a classic example. Like if we get up and straight away go for use the phone or go to social media or listen to news, what happens now? The energy moves up rather than transcends. So when you listen to the current news about COVID-19, you're not going like, oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's the opposite. You're freaking out. The energy goes up to the top of your head, and
I feel so relaxed. I feel so sunken into my body. So obviously, if I listen to the news, immediately the energy goes up. Anxiety, prediction of the future that everything's going to collapse. Will I have money? Will I get COVID? Will I suffocate and drown via ammonia, and so on? Yeah. Incredible thoughts going up. That means these thoughts now generate yang. That means yang, Chinese medicine, yang is upward. Yin is downward. Whoa. Yeah. Yin is stillness. Yang is destruction and up, and energy up. So if the energy is up and we are concerned about a specific outcome, we move it forward. It now moves us into feel bad also, but in particular the energy is up. So that means the spleen, which is the spleen, for the spleen to function, that means nutrient assimilation to occur, the energy needs to be like, opposite. So if we go up constantly in up, and then take nutrients, we may only get a little bit of the impact. So that means on the scale of effectiveness, you're in the lower range of the effectiveness. But if you wake up and you go straight into core training, you're working with mobilizing chi around your hip, you free the energy around your glutes and you free the legs, because that's where you connect yourself to the power of the universe. Like as a surfer, what is the most important body part? The legs.
Yeah, totally.
You can't do a handstand on a surfboard. I mean, some people try.
Yeah.
But you use your thighs, you use your glutes as a surfer. And in there you capture the power via the glutes. And so that's the same thing. If we wake up every morning and we go straight to core training, like working with our glutes, I've got on my website, I've got like a 50-minute workout that immediately connects it to the universal chi. So that uses like lunges and squats and dead bug exercises. And so if you do this, what happens now is you're activating the points that will benefit the spleen, because it will make the energy sink into the body. Mm-hmm. So now you have the foundation for nutrients to work much more effective. So now you take the same amount as other people, but the effectiveness is here. That's how simple it is.
Yeah.
So that's the same applies to when people eat. So if you, like, it's very common to have breakfast in a rush condition, multitasking, etc. That means energy is not sinking in. That means when we eat, the nutrients aren't absorbed. So we may eat, but they don't get absorbed because the energy is up. That's one of the main reasons why people get obesity, because the energy is up. Now what we eat can't be converted into energy. It gets stored as sugar. So it's all like many times, because I work with weight loss all the time, because a lot of people have weight loss or weight gain problems and want to lose weight. And I always work with the ability to develop your yin first, because if you can do that, if you're able to sink in, what you eat will be utilized. That means it will be converted into energy. If it converts into energy, it will burn sugars and fat. You actually lose weight. But if the energy is up all the time, go. So whatever you eat now gets stored. It gets stored as sugars or fat.
Yeah.
And that leads to weight gain. But at the same time, you feel more and more exhausted. So now you want to eat more, but because the energy is on the upper position, you're not gaining anything from it.
Yeah, it's like all this false energy.
Yeah, it's just like it's a very vicious cycle that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
So that's where a lifestyle is now the essential next step in order to regulate this crisis that we're all experiencing.
It's such an interesting time in history, hey? Like, in so many ways, the Western world is so yang, it's so mentally driven, you know, like we're watching the news and there's so much data coming in. And not everyone, but for many mainstream people, it's like busy rat race kind of thing, right? And ironically, you know, the stats show that 95% of people are dependent on government support when they retire because they don't have enough money. So they've been slaving their guts out. They've been really busy their whole life, but they finish with nothing. You know, and it's like it's this false energy, kind of like the weight loss. And I see these patterns through life in many areas where, in some ways, the West is very yang and kind of very busy, but at the same time, there's more and more of us that are bringing in this kind of yin culture, this like more quiet, calmer, grounded, you know, wanting to build our internal sensation, our internal being, you know, more of that that kind of yin or spleen feeling, self-nurturing. It's the yin and the yang is so interesting. We live it, you know, like right now, people are listening to the news. They're like massively in their head, and the energy's all rising to yang. They're stressing out. You know, I know a bunch of people that are really paranoid right now. And then at the same time, you go for a walk, and it's super quiet. It's super yin. It's like you can never separate the polar opposites, right? They're always a part of the whole.
Yeah, it doesn't quite. What you see, the main threat that we have in life is in fact lifestyle disease. According to the World Health Organization, according to WHO, this year 40 million people will die of lifestyle disease. So lifestyle disease, that's a figure. It's far more threatening than anything we hear with COVID-19. It's in proportion far beyond anything.
Yeah.
And lifestyle disease is the result of not living correctly. But if your energy is up all the time and the spleen can't function, you actually develop a condition in the spleen which can't actually ward off invasion. So what happens is now when the spleen doesn't work effectively because of the yang, go, what happens is now the spleen is responsible for transformation and transportation. So now it can't transform and transport fluids. That means now fluids are converted into phlegm, and phlegm is stored in the lungs. So your lungs are filling up. So that means you're actually getting exactly the precondition for viruses like COVID to enter the body. And so the more your lifestyle is incapable of warding off because of the phlegm storage in the lungs, the more you're prone for complications. And so really what we see now is like, it's an example of like a warning signal to say, okay, we gotta get our lifestyle in order. Because like this year, 40 million, next year might be 50 million people die of lifestyle disease.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the one fact is just like, we don't sink in anymore. And as a result of that is we don't have nutrient assimilation. As a result of that is we've got a high cravings for sugar. As a result of that is there's an industry in place to provide as many sugars as you want. And so now you're eating more sugars, but you're getting more and more depleted. And because the sugar depletes the spleen, and now you're already depleted from the yang, 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 and the sugar on top of it, you're getting more depleted. Now you have even a higher, more advanced cravings for sweets, and so on. It's like a vicious downward spiral, and that leads to phlegm production, and the phlegm now gets stored in the lungs, and now you actually get like complications for all kind of issues. I mean, that leads to heart, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, etc. So we really got no choice other than to look into, okay, we've got to do something about this. And and then means, okay, how can we get that sinking motion in? Yeah. And this is, for example, why I always work with ASEA, because I've been operating with ASEA for 8 years, because I experimented with every supplement out there. I used every supplement that's known to me, and with self-experimentation, but also with my clients and with my patients. So there's not a supplement out there I'm not involved with and haven't tried. So ASEA is a totally different world. And the reason why I work with ASEA is because it's actually a supplement that in itself you can't actually identify what it is. But what it does is it allows the sinking action to occur. It makes this, what is essential for the spleen to work, it allows that to occur. So you could say ASEA is enhances nutrient assimilation. So if you then take vitamin B, instead of getting this level here, you get that level.
Yeah.
So if you take astragalus and ashwagandha, you get that outcome. Look, I see this over and over and over. I experimented with all different levels. I put all kind of clients on a full-on supplement regime. Then the other group I put on ASEA plus supplements. And then I started reducing the supplements in the ASEA group more and more and more and more, but they all got the same effect.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we saw as well with Nicole's fatigue issue for 25 years. She was on $1,000 a month worth of product and services like acupuncture and stuff, but it was like $500 to $600 a month of wholesale product out of my clinic. Huge amounts of superfoods and herbs and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, just 3 weeks on a minimal dose of the ASEA 60 mils twice a day, and all that superfoods just like reduced. We just stopped taking a lot of that, and
less of the other.
Better. It was amazing. And even I remember in the very early days, I had a good friend of ours. She's been organic for 25 years, but she's celiac, had a lot of digestive disorders for a long, long time. And even just 4 days after she started taking the liquid, she was like, my energy's better. And she's in her 60s, but she's actually really fit. She's a landscaper, and she'd work really hard. She could, work harder than me. Just amazing. Go all day in the garden, and just loved what she did. But she said not only was the energy better, but and sleep better, but her urine was less yellow. Her urine had changed color, and she hadn't changed the supplement.
Assimilation.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh, that's a big indication. That's something special.
That's why ASEA is an interesting product, because the energy doesn't get generated from ASEA, because there's no energy in ASEA. It's according to my observation. According to my observation, what ASEA does, it allows for power to be generated. So because the nutrient assimilation is the key that generates the power. So if our liver, so what the ASEA does, instead of the energy up here, can't reach the bottom of the body, the organ can't build the spleen, ASEA allows that action to occur. It sinks it in. So then whatever you take, it will be assimilated. This is where it gets very interesting now, because I experiment obviously in depth with ASEA and the supplement. So if you start changing your life, for example, if you wake up by 5 o'clock and you obviously go to the toilet first, flush everything, then you go into your room, and obviously, hopefully you don't get disturbed by family or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say ideal situation, you have the space for 50 minutes by yourself. So the first thing what you do after you've been at the bathroom, so the first thing what you do, you go in your room, and then it's in a quiet pace, and then take your 60 ml ASEA, drink it, and then make your energy just sink deeply into your legs. So then you go into what we call a Qigong posture, which is hugging the tree. So that's where you stand like slightly, legs are shoulder width. It's like hugging a tree, but holding a newspaper in front of you. And you make the energy sink into your legs. So for about 5 minutes, you focus on taking the energy from the top of the head and make it sink into your legs. Make it sink, make it sink, make it sink. So now you're supporting the action that ASEA is doing. And now you're working with it. But because you're taking ASEA, you're creating a magnitude effect on it. So it's exponential. So you're actually creating like 4 times the value that otherwise you would without. And then then I would recommend then going to core training. So that means you're going to go onto the floor and you do some dead bug, mountain climbers, scissors, and some lunges, and really project the energy into your glutes, into your dantian. Because what happens is in the lower part of your body, between the navel and your sacrum, there is an acupuncture point, and that's called Qi Hai, which is the sea of Qi. And that's the point that directly opens up to the universal forces that holds everything in place. That's your entrance board to the surfboard.
Right.
That's the point. That's why when Taoist and Taoist master, when they meditate, they always have the hand in front of their navel. You see the Buddha always has that hand in front of the navel.
Yeah.
And so because that's your energy point that opens up to the universe. That's where you hop onto the surfboard, on the surfboard. So now you're going to project that point while working with dead bug and scissors and other core training. And now you because you're doing movements, you free the obstructions in the glutes, you free the obstructions in your legs. And what you're doing now is because you free the obstruction, now you're creating direct access to this point. And now at the same time, you're projecting the energy of coming into this point, and then distributing it to the glutes. And from then on, because you breathe deeply, because the exercise makes you breathe deep. Yeah. So what happens now is you actually putting all the energy, it naturally moves up to the heart. So then you're working with it further and further and further. So the ASEA, which works with that action, is now enhancing the whole process. And so you get if you do this for 20 minutes, and you feel suddenly rejuvenated, that you can't get on a different way. Okay, so a lot of people always ask me, what about, can you do this if you put Renew on this point, Renew 28?
Yeah.
I experiment with that. It's not the same. Yeah, I experimented with that in depth. With my sensitivity to the Qi practice, I mean, I've been doing this Kung Fu training for 35 years every day. Yeah. I had one day off 20 years ago. I didn't like that day. And I practice hardcore every morning. So I do my 3 hours every morning, my 2 hours every evening. It's part of my life. Yeah. So I'm very sensitive to things. So the Renew is incredibly good for afterwards, after the session, not before. For the training, take ASEA. When you're finished, you put Renew on the points where you, in order to mobilize the Qi, where you overuse the Qi, which means soreness. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the way I work with it.
Yeah, I've said the same thing when I do health coaching and I work with people that are usually very sick people that I talk to when utilizing the Redox. And to me, it's like the liquid just goes so much deeper.
Yeah, it goes straight in.
The Renew is much more superficial, but when you keep talking about going deep, to me that's almost in alignment with what you're talking about unification, this principle of unification. Because when we're really deep, it's like we unify the energy of the body. But when we're like external and yang and kind of expansive, it's like we're all scattered and we're all like chopped up inside. But when we come in deep, it's like we've got that strong unification. So that totally makes sense to me.
That's right. Every time you meditate, do ASEA first. Just have 30 mil ASEA first, because that's another thing I experimented with. Is like for example, in the afternoons when you come home from work and you're feeling too much in the head, and obviously people say I can't meditate, I'm too much in my head. you see, in Chinese medicine, we would say, don't meditate with your mind, meditate with your body.
Yeah, awesome.
Don't meditate with your mind and meditate with your body. So, so when you come home and you're too much in the head, and if you not go down straight away and trying to meditate, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You can meditate. So meditation means you want to activate the acupuncture points, such as the chi hai, the dantian point below the navel, but also the glute points. So what I recommend is when you're coming home, just do 5 minutes activating, mobilize the chi around the glutes and the hip and the dantian, and just exactly like the morning. Once again, go to my website and open it up. Just free those points. What happens is now you make chi flow. If chi flows, the momentum is up. If the momentum is there, you have the power. If you have the power in your body, you are able to meditate. Okay, so when you look at Buddhist monks meditating, they do exactly the same thing. They take the attention first to the mind, and then they go all the way, draw it down to the dantian, and go, they draw themselves into the hip, into the lower parts of the body, with going as deep as low as possible. So you activate the glute points. You activate those points that you use exactly for sexual arousal. Sexual arousal, when people get sexually aroused, they use the same point, the glute points get activated. You're not in your head suddenly and say, I feel a stimulation in my sacrum, I think I will get sexually stimulated soon. No, you feel it.
Yeah.
In your organs.
Yeah.
Organ. Yeah. You don't feel it in your head.
No, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, this is the same in meditation. Meditation is just like sex, same thing. That's why the Dalai Lama calls it tantric techniques. They don't talk about sex, they talk tantric. Tantric means you draw the energy into the lower parts of the body. That means you activate the chi in the blood in the lower parts. And now as you create the movement in the lower part, the power comes in like a surfer. As you feel the power, you automatically go into a meditation state. And then you feel it. And now you can go deep, breathe in, nose breathing, obviously. Nose, breathe out, breathe deep. But you need to get the experience of power first. So if you don't have the experience of power first, you go loopy in your head.
Yeah. So that's where you talk about getting moving first in the morning,
yes,
early. And then so what time would you recommend you do your meditation? So you do your exercise. And I put your website in there before so people can get that. I had a look at that exercise routine.
Always get the blood flowing first. Always get the blood. Always the way I just like the same as in the evening. Before you get the blood flowing, take your ASEA. Yeah. So like in the morning, same thing. So you first of all, before you meditate, get blood flowing. You need to feel power. You need to feel good. You can't use the meditation to feel good. It's up the hill, goes nowhere. Some people can do it, but it's a minority. All the people, the thousands of people I work with, I always show everyone, okay, let's first of all experience power, then meditate. And everyone can experience power immediately because everyone has hips, everyone has got glutes, everyone has got a belly, everyone's got dantian point.
Yeah.
We just have to free the energy in there. And once we free the energy, we feel power. Then as the power feels, now we can breathe in line with the power. But if you're trying to breathe without the feeling of power, it makes you mental, it makes you nuts. And then you think, meditation is not for me. It's like trying to do sex with a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, that's kind of going to take the feeling right out of it. So I put your website in there, the Jost Sauer, but it's actually the lifestylemedicine.com one, isn't it? That's the one where people can download exercise.
lifestylemedicine.com.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah, and I did exactly what you said, which is just Google the ones that I didn't recognize. So, you might be wondering what a dead bug exercise is or a mountain climber. Just Google it and just watch the little short videos so you know exactly how to do it.
This is the beauty of of living in 2020, we got access to you put dead bug exercises on YouTube, you will get 25,000 videos.
Yeah. Yeah. The first little video that showed up was like, bang, done. Oh, that's easy. Next, you know, yeah.
But the beauty of it, all you need to do is get the first introduction. Then the exercise will guide you how to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Because it's like power comes in, the power will generate and guide you. The power will guide you. You can't go to surfing school. You need to surf to learn surfing. You can't go to university to do a degree in surfing. You've got to go to the wave, experience the power, then it moves you.
Yeah. Yeah, so get out of your head more and just into your body, take it down.
It's like sex. You gotta experience the power, then you know what to do. But you can't do it from your head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very experiential. Well, look, thank you very much. I think that's been awesome, Jost, and that's the way for people, you know, an access point for people to cope with, you know, there's so much stress and fear out in the world right now, the current crisis. It's like supporting ourselves by coming deep within ourselves. You know, yes, of course, using the ASEA and using the different things like but practicing the lifestyle medicine and getting this sensation of sinking in and getting deep within and creating unification within ourselves, right? Then the outside external influences, they don't have as much of an impact.
Yeah, it's just once you experience power, you ward off. Like, I'm 61 years of age, and I study under Tai Chi masters. And when I started this work with nutrients at university, when I studied, it was when I was in my 30s. It was all theory, but now with my age, I can see what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I can see when I meet other people who are in their 60s, I can tell who is using the supplements. I can tell who is on the gear. Yeah, I can tell. Yeah. Yeah. And because they have a different experience. Yeah. And why do they have a different experience of life? Because nutrient assimilation, because everything is generating. So as you get older, you can tell, my God, this really works. And that's why I always tell everyone, it's not just taking supplements, it's an investment in your future.
Absolutely, yeah. Quality of life.
Because if the more you invest in your body, the more you ward off whatever invasion comes. Like the Tai Chi masters I study under, they're all Chinese, and they're in their 70s. No one worries about COVID. They don't worry about it. They walk around without masks. It's like they're totally above it. Yes. Yeah. And because the spleen is so strong, their energy is so beautiful, deep, that they got so much power that they're doing big wave surfing. They got 60-foot waves. Yeah.
Yeah, they're cruising. They're cruising on the forces of the universe. Yeah.
They put COVID into a quarantine. You know, they put it.
Yeah. Hey, there was a question before around like what happens if someone's had their physical spleen removed?
Oh, now we're talking. This is why I mentioned at the beginning. It's spleen with an uppercase S. Energy spleen cannot be removed. Yeah. I can talk about next week if you want, because the energy spleen is the property of the soul. Yes. So, in Chinese medicine, we look at the soul as your fundamental nature, and the physical body is just borrowed for time being. Yeah. So in Chinese medicine, reincarnation and eternity is an aspect of the medicine. So, as a soul, when we live in the astral world, we have the meridians and the energy organs as part that structures the soul. Mm-hmm. So when the soul enters the physical body, the energy organs and the meridians match with the central nervous system of the physical body. Mm-hmm. And then you have two different realities now coming together. The soul, the spirit, is eternal, can't die. It's always in a state of energy and chi and power. It feels good. But now it's mapped with the central nervous system of a physical body, which is destined to die and therefore is temporary and experiences pain because it got nerve pathways. Mm-hmm. Now the soul experiences both in infinity infinity and the physical body. So in Chinese medicine, the energy organs are fundamental, and they heal and nurture the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we work with the energy organ, the more we nurture the physical organ. So if someone has a spleen removed, it's irrelevant because the energy organ is still present, and that you can't remove the energy organ. It's not possible. You can't remove the meridians. You can't remove chi. You can't remove power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so that means it's irrelevant. You just let the physical action of the spleen regulated by the energy organ. So you focus on the energy organ.
Mm.
And with gallbladder, the same thing. We work with the energy gallbladder, and suddenly it will do the action of the physical gallbladder. Yeah. So, yeah, that's Chinese medicine.
Yeah, it's amazing. Fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for your time again, Jost. I love our chats. I'm always learning from you. And yeah, certainly some of the teachings you've given me have been quite profound in our life. And today's been another incredible insight into your wisdom and experience. I want to say thank you to everyone for attending the talk today. We'll do another interview, same time, same place next week. Some comments there. Great webinar, Justin. Thank you so much. And yeah, very insightful, Jost. Thank you very much. People are commenting and grateful for your contribution. Very inspired and grateful for being a part of the group. Thank you, Jost and Justin. Thank you very much, everyone. And so yeah, any parting comments, Jost, before we sign off for today?
Yeah, don't listen to the news. Build your chi.
Yeah, totally. Totally, mate. Totally agree. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure again, and we'll catch you again next week.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.